Although I value reading from the beginning because my dad taught me the importance of reading books right from the beginning.
Welcome to the podcast. With me today is a personal development coach, and I'm so excited to have you today. Russell, thank you for joining us today on the podcast. I'm really excited to have you. For starters, can you share a bit about yourself
Thank you.
and how you developed your passion for reading? Tell us about yourself.
All right. My name is Apuam, as you rightly introduced. I am an indigenous of Bayelsa State, as I told you earlier, and then I studied philosophy at Niger Delta University. When they say
Really?
philosophy, most people
Oh,
they
really?
come up with different ideas. But one thing is that philosophers are really critical thinkers. They are people that seek knowledge always and then want to really understand how things really work. What I do is that I am a personal development coach and then also engage in various online and digital businesses. Like right now, I'm involved in graphic design, but my passion really is to see that people develop themselves, people grow to become who they actually are, people grow to actualize their
Yeah,
potentials and
yeah,
then achieve whatever height that they are capable of achieving in life.
yeah,
And I do that through various platforms. Like the platform I use mostly now is sharing content on Facebook, and then sometimes I organize classes on personal development and then goal setting once in a while. I developed a passion for reading. Should I really say I developed a passion for reading? Because if I can recall very, very well, when I was in secondary school per se, I don't used to read normally. Like people see me as someone that reads always, but that was not the case. I only read when it's close to the exam, maybe 2, 3 days to the exam.
that's
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 when
been
that's
the case for I've spoken with a lot of people, a lot of students, and I hear this same thing time and again that I only read when exam is coming.
yeah.
Okay.
In my secondary school days, that was the case. But the thing that surprised a lot of people is that during those days, I used to uh, come out as the best student in the class from my
Mm.
primary three up to my SS3 in secondary school. So people used to think that I read very, very well, that I read very, very well. Although I value reading from the beginning because my dad taught me the importance of reading books right from the beginning. When I was in GS1, primary school to GS1, those times I used to read, but at a point there was an issue that happened that my elder brother gave me his books and then he had a quarrel. I used to read with his books when I just entered GS1. I used to read with his books, but we had a quarrel and then he took his books from. I decided to take his books away from me. So then my passion for reading kind of declined, and then that was when I started reading only during exam. But the uh, desire to read books has always been there. And then I knew the importance of reading books. And then, although I read only during exams, I used to read novels during my spare time in my secondary school. There's literature in English was my best subject. I used to read the books of William Shakespeare and all of that. Although the other
Oh,
academic works I reserved for exams. So from
for
the
exam
onset, I had this
periods.
passion. Yeah. So from the onset, I had this passion for reading and then acquiring knowledge, and then it was instilled in me by my father because he's someone that used to read always. Even now,
Mm,
sometimes when you see me comes outside, carries his books and then start to read, and he usually tells me stories of great people and how they become great. Tells me stories of people that became great orators and all of that, great leaders. And then I always I had this passion that one day to it will become I grew to become great, and then it tells me that readers are leaders, people that
Yeah,
are the leaders in the
yeah,
world in
that's
different industries,
it.
that they are
Yeah, yeah.
leaders. So because I want to be great as well, I developed this passion for reading. But it is of recent when I gained admission into the university that I rekindled my passion for reading personal development books and then reading books in different areas as
Okay. Since you're someone who is into developing, helping people find themselves, develop themselves, personal growth, and identity. What role has reading played in shaping your own personal growth and identity? How has reading influenced your personal growth and understanding of yourself?
okay. Reading has shaped my life in different ways because there's this thing my father used to tell me when I was younger. He used to say, knowledge is power. Although then
Yeah,
I did
yeah,
not really understand what he actually meant by knowledge is power. But that statement has been resounding in my mind right from then. So one thing reading does is that it enables you, or reading, should I say, reading has enabled me to know better. And then when you know better, you can make better decisions. And then when you can make better decisions, the outcome of your life inevitably becomes better because of
yeah.
the decisions you've made based on the knowledge you have acquired from reading books. So reading enables me to acquire knowledge, and acquiring this knowledge, I make better decisions. And while I make better decisions, I improve my life. And reading has also made me to identify myself or to discover myself in various ways. And discover myself whenever I read, I see myself most of the times in the characters of the people of the books that I read,
Okay.
especially when these books are books
If
that are
that's you've seen
autobiographies of
novels,
people.
right? Okay, okay,
Can you hear me?
okay. Yes, I can hear you, sir. You can hear you.
Okay, you were saying something earlier.
Now, I was affirming to the fact that maybe the when you read books, you talked about characters, so I was like, okay, maybe these are novels. Are these novels when you read, you see yourself in the character?
No, not particularly novels. I mean, even the personal
Memoir.
development books. Yes, even
Okay,
the
okay.
memos, the autobiographies of people, and even the personal development books. Some of them they use different characters in their books. And when I
Yeah,
read these
yeah.
books, I connect myself with those characters. For instance, recently, uh, about 2 weeks ago, I just finished reading The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. And one of those characters in that book, he wrote the book in form of a story. One of the characters in that
Oh,
book is Stone Riley. Is a major character in that book. He was kind of a billionaire that was training others to be members of the 5 a.m. club, and then the kind of life he lived, his principles, his discipline, his philosophy about life, everything. I saw myself as that kind of a person, and then someone who loved to exemplify or live out all that particular character Stone Riley lived in that particular book. So in that way, it enables me to identify who I really am, and then the kind of life I want to live and then portray.
I want to because you've been I want to say something because you've been talking about a particular person. It seems this person has a deep influence on your reading life, and the person is your father. I really want to appreciate
Yeah.
your father for helping you cultivate the reading life because, of course, even we all at some point have that someone. For me, it was my uncle that helped me start my reading journey. We all have that someone that help us kick start this reading, even if we did not really understand. Because my uncle would say I should read, and he would just bring me a book. I did not really understand what he was doing then, but I would pick up the book and I would just read and read and read. And more than 10 years after, and my life is not the
Wow.
way it was. So yeah,
Wow.
books are really important. Books can
Yeah.
shape our lives, and people who can help us do that is, it's invaluable. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
now I want to know how do you select books? Because I believe many of our audience, many people that are listening to us now, they will be very curious to know how do you select books to read. And personally, what criteria do you use to select these books? And can you be very, very practical? Can you really give us maybe an instance, something that happened in the past or recently that uh, that made you connect with a book and you pick this particular book? What's your criteria? What criteria do you use to pick up this book and you read?
All right. Most of the books I read are based on recommendation from important people that I follow. And
Mm,
people I follow, especially online. One person that has influenced my life to a great extent is an entrepreneur that I follow online. Is an entrepreneur from Zimbabwe. His name is Stride Maseyewa. And then
mm,
following him exposed me to different people online as well that I now follow. Sometimes he recommends books and then I go get those books and then I read them. And another person also is you will be familiar with him, John Obidi. I read the books he recommend he recommends
I know
most of
John
the
Obi.
time. Yeah, so my major criteria for selecting books, I will say, is recommendation from people I trust, recommendation from people that
Yeah,
have gotten the results that I seek to get in my life as well. So once people will recommend that this book talks about this particular thing, that this book will help you achieve this particular thing, I go ahead and then get those books and then read those books for myself. And I see that their recommendations are very, very valuable and then important also because when I read those are books that I fall in love with. Sometimes when I start
yeah,
reading them, I do stop until I finish them. So my major criteria is recommendation from people, and then even while I read, I also see they mention most of the times when you
yeah,
read books, they
yeah,
mention
yes,
other books in those books
yes.
as well. So the other books they mention in those books, I still go ahead to get them and then read them depending on my reading list for that particular period if it can accommodate. So that's my major criteria for selecting or picking books for reading. Recommendation from trusted authorities or people that have gotten the results that I am seeking to get.
Mm. Okay. Uh, you can you that you're hearing me today, you can actually do this. I also I follow recommendations. It's one of a mental mood to read more books. When an authority figure says this and this other authority figure says that, like you hear these books recommended, it's recommended by authority figures in different fields, then it means that book is the book you should read. Okay, now I want to ask because I'm really curious. Can you share a book or an author that has had a profound impact on your life? Because every one of us every one of us have that one author. It can be more than one, of course, but there's always this one author that has shaped the way we perceive ourselves. Who is that one author or that one book, and how did it influence you? Can you share it with us? How did it influence you, that one book or that one author?
Okay, mentioning what author or one book per se is particularly difficult for me, but because to mention it is difficult. Let me just confess. But now I'm trying to skim between two. Should I mention this one? Should I leave this one? But basically, there are certain books and then authors that have had a profound, a profound impact on my life. And then one of them is Paulo Coelho. His book. He wrote a
Paulo
book called
Coelho.
Alchemist. Yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Paulo
yeah.
Coelho. Yeah, he wrote a he wrote a book titled The Alchemist, and then it's like a novel, but it's a novel, a story about a young man, a young shepherd that was on a journey named Santiago on a journey to discover himself. And then the impact that book, the major lesson I learned from that book is that one can actually pursue his or a dream and then actually realize it at the end,
Mm.
irrespective of the other, should I say, the other attractions in life to get this other thing, to get this other thing. This person is making it in this field, this other person is making it in this other field. You can actually pursue your life's vision and then actually achieve that particular life vision and then live comfortably with it. The story of Santiago in that book particularly inspired me because he left his country in search of a treasure
Oh,
in Egypt, and the end of it, through the process, he passed through different process, meeting different mentors, encountering different challenges along the way, and at the end, he discovered himself, and then he was able to achieve that which he was looking for.
mm. Speak of
And
speak of recommendation.
can I also go ahead and then mention other books as or other authors?
Okay, okay. You can mention just one. Okay,
Okay,
you can
just one
mention.
again.
Okay.
Another one I'll say is Napoleon Hill, and then his book,
It's,
particularly that I would say influenced me a lot, is Outwitting the Devil. It was a book recommended by
mm.
John Obidi, and then I read that book.
Oh.
And then what I would say impacted my life in that book or affected my life profoundly from that book is there's a concept they called hypnotic rhythm.
Mm.
There's a concept they call hypnotic rhythm in that particular book, and the concept is about all the concept talks about is that once you subject yourself to a certain thought pattern, or once you subject yourself to a particular habit or a particular way of behaving, and then you persist in that way of behavior or thought patterns become permanent in your life such that you cannot change it, such that it begins to drive all the major decisions in your life without you knowing it. It becomes automatic. So, for instance, now you're talking about reading. If you develop a reading habit and then persist in it for a long period of time, that habit of reading now becomes automatic in your
Yeah.
life such that you cannot do without reading again. And then it's like a double-edged sword. If you develop negative habits, the hypnotic rhythm will be against you because it's a principle that works. That once you've developed this habit, these thought patterns over a long period of life, time, I mean, it becomes automatic and then it drives your life. It now becomes an unconscious uh, should I say, propeller that moves your life in a certain direction, even without you knowing, although you developed it in the first place. So if you develop positive habits and then thought patterns, it will drive your life in a positive direction. But if you develop negative habits and then thought patterns, it will drive your life in a negative direction. So that concept has really influenced my life a lot. And then I'm careful the kind of habits, the kind of
Mm.
attitudes, and then the kind of thought patterns I am developing daily so that my life, even though unconsciously, I can be driving my life towards a positive end, towards my goals and then the plans that I have set for myself.
Mm. Habits are the automatic aspect of our lives that are created little by little, and that in a particular pattern. So yeah, reading, when reading becomes a habit, it becomes automatic and it drives our lives. Speak of recommendation. You know, you're the second person who have mentioned the power or the power of this book, The Alchemist. I think I'm going to pick that book and read because I've not read it before. I've seen it in the bookshop, but I've not read it. And I, if my guest here, Rusels, can recommend the book, I think you yourself, you listener, you can pick up that book and read it if you have not read the book. Okay, let us continue our conversation because I'm beginning to enjoy it. Uh, and I want us to get a bit personal. In what way has reading helped you? Um, helped you discover aspect of yourself that you may not have otherwise realized? An aspect of your life. What is the aspect that reading has helped you realize? That reading has helped you discover that on your own you don't have realized that you had this aspect or there's this aspect about you. Can you tell us?
Okay, that aspect of my life, funny enough, it still borders on reading. The thing is that there was a certain point in my life where I stopped reading, and then maybe because of other things that needed my attention and the rest. But when I started reading again, I started to discover that I had this passion, should I say passion, for acquiring knowledge or something of that sort. Whenever I get a book to read, particularly a book that is very, very interesting, and then a book that is kind of inclined to my kind of person, and then my goals and then aspirations, I kind of love reading that particular book. So whenever I stop reading it, I feel the urge of coming back to read it again. Whenever I stop, I feel the urge of coming back to read again. So reading made me understand that I'm the kind of person that loves knowledge, actually, and then not just knowledge. I'm the kind of person that loves teaching, that loves impacting life, that loves transforming lives through my words, through my teachings, through sharing of knowledge. And for me to be able to do that effectively, I still need to acquire more knowledge to be able to give out more to the world, to be able to give out more to the people that I am sent to. So reading actually made me to discover I'm the kind of person that loves acquiring knowledge. This might sound funny, but it's very, very true about me. Because whenever I read a book, I understand. I have this kind of joyful feeling in me. I have this kind of feeling of ecstasy in me about knowing something new and then applying it in my life in a particular area and then sharing it with other people so that they too can apply it in their lives to get the results that they want or to improve their lives in a particular way. So this is something I think perhaps is should I say is peculiar to me, or it's part of me per se that I discovered through the reading books. If I was not reading, I wouldn't have discovered this particular desire in me of
Yeah.
reading books and then sharing knowledge and then teaching others as well.
Okay, that's always tend to be the case. One thing about knowledge is that when you get knowledge, there's this, or let me put it like this: knowledge is never complete until it overflows to others. That's it. So when
Yeah,
you know something,
yeah,
there's this natural bent to overflow to others. That's when the knowledge is complete, and to a great extent, that is when that knowledge is ingrained into your subconscious. Because when you learn
yeah,
and
yeah,
you teach it, you learn even more. So
yeah,
for me, one thing reading has done for me is that I never knew that I could write until I started reading. And I never knew I could teach until I started reading. I never knew I was creative until I started reading. So
Wow.
yeah, reading is something that would definitely, when you engage in it, not just one time, two times, three times, but consistently in the pattern over time, it has become second nature. It has become an habit. That is when reading can actually become a springboard into self-discovery. So yeah,
Yeah.
now what I want to ask you now, what I want to know, what I want my audience to know is about your reading routine. What is your reading routine like? How do you incorporate it into your daily life? Because uh you mentioned you do, you're a personal development coach, you're a graphics designer, you work with clients, you do, or you do a lot of things, you're busy. So what is your reading routine like, and how do you incorporate it into your daily life?
All right. My reading routine is I designed it in such a manner that uh, it enables me to start my day with it. Actually, it's one of the first things I do every day. I start my day around 4 a.m. and then I pray, study my Bible. After I've done those very important things, the next thing is to read for 1 hour. So I wake up around
Mm,
4 a.m., study my Bible, pray, and then from 5 to 6 a.m. I read. I make sure I read for that 1 hour period, and then after that, I take my bath and then go to work or whatever engagement I have for the day. So every day, I strive. I do my best that I read for that 1 hour because on most days, once I miss that 5 to 6 a.m., my reading period, sometimes I struggle to read because the other engagements of the day, things that I need to meet up, and then most of the times when I come back during the night, I'm tired. So the thing I have to do that night particularly is to rest and sleep and then prepare for the next day's work and activities. So my reading schedule every day is from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. That's when I comprehend most. That's when I understand most. Personally, I'm not someone that likes reading
mm,
during the night period from between 6 a.m. to even 9 to 10 a.m. I'm someone that likes to sleep very, very early. That is how I was trained when I was small. When I was small, I used to sleep. When I was young, I mean to say, I used to sleep very early in the night, and then even while I was an undergraduate, I struggled to read during the night period when others go for TDB and then all of that, seeing the read till the following morning. For me, I wake up early around 3, 4, 5, but particularly for my reading sessions on personal development books and then books related to what I am doing, apart from academic works and all of that. I read from 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. and that has been helping me. I make sure I do it every day.
discipline. Discipline is the word, because when something becomes a routine, it means that we it means it has become a discipline, whether we know it or not. When you do something time and again and you're almost doing it automatically, it it it
Yeah,
can be
yeah,
called a discipline. So in this case, like, the lesson here, the lesson is, pick a time that works best for you. And I've had people ask me, when is the best time to read. The best time to read is always the time that works for you. So I
yeah,
cannot
yeah,
tell you
definitely.
that I cannot say the best time to read is in the morning or in the afternoon or in the evening or in the night time. No, we are all wired differently and our brains are different. So it's, read when, or fix a reading routine during the times you're most alert, or that there's less there's less distractions where you can focus. So yeah, the lesson is, pick a time that works best for you, then stay focused, stay at it. So that's it. Now the question is, do you have any advice for for listeners on how to use reading as a tool, use reading as a tool for self-reflection and personal growth. What is your advice? Do you have any advice for listeners?
Yeah, definitely. I have an advice. I have advice for listeners. My advice to them is that they should prioritize reading because it's very, very important. Reading is very, very important. Like my father used to tell me, and although the statement has become cliche these days, that knowledge is power. And then one funny thing is that I was watching a series, Game of Thrones. I don't know whether you've watched that particular series.
Okay, I have not.
Game of Okay, all right. But in that particular series, there was a scene whereby the queen uh, uh, there was a particular scene whereby one of the learned people in that kingdom met the queen of that kingdom and told her that he knows some of her secrets, and then in a way trying to frighten her. But because the queen was with her guards and then she had the authority of the military in that particular kingdom, the learned colleague was telling her that since I know your secrets, I can attack you, or I can use it against you. And then the learned colleague told the queen that knowledge is power. And then in response, the queen told her guards to attack this man, that bring out your swords and then cut off his neck. And then when at the point where they were about to cut off the learned man's neck, he told the guards to stop. And then she said, power is power, not knowledge is power. Something in that line. But the scene was funny. The scene was funny, and then at the point, people that watch that particular scene will think that knowledge is not actually as important as it is, because power is power in itself, and then knowledge is knowledge aside from power. But that is not the case. Someone who knows and someone who can use what he knows very, very well will always have power in a certain respect. So I'm advising the readers or the listeners that make sure prioritize reading in your life because it's very, very important. It gives you a certain edge in life. It
Mm,
enables you to know
yes,
things that others
yes,
do not know. And once you know, you'll be able to do better because you can
yes,
make better decisions, just like I said earlier. I was giving an
exactly.
analogy about reading. Someone who reads book is like climbing up on a tower and then looking ahead. Perhaps you want to do something and then you climb, you want to go get to a particular destination and then you climb on a tower and then look ahead to see what are the points, where does the road lead to, what are the obstacles, what are the challenges along the road. Reading is like climbing that tower because someone has already documented uh, a particular knowledge on a particular subject or on a particular area in a book, that all you need to do is to go and get that book and read, and then you don't have to discover things for yourself. You just have to use the blueprint of the person that has made those discoveries. And sometimes this discovery has to do with a lifetime work, a lifetime
Yes,
project,
yes,
lifetimes of experiences, lifetimes of discoveries. And now this person is just gifting it to you in the form of a book that you can read for at most 1 month and then gain the experiences that you spent a lifetime
yes.
to gain, so that you won't have to
That's right.
rediscover those things for
Mm,
yourself. So reading is like kind of leveraging the experiences or discoveries of people that have lived in the past, or people that have spent their lifetimes, I mean, trying to discover particular things. So reading is very, very important.
mm,
We should not joke around with reading. It gives us a certain edge in life. It gives you an advantage. It gives you leverage. I was listening to Jim Rohns and then he was emphasizing, even up to the point of lamenting, that there are books on certain areas that you just have to go and get these books and then read and improve your lives. And then yet people will not read these books, and then they'll keep complaining that their lives are this, their lives are this, they are not getting this result. And yet the books are there, the solutions are in those books. Your only responsibility is to get them and read them and apply the knowledge in those books, and then you get the results you want in your life. And yet people don't want to read. It was lamenting, up to the point of lamenting. So reading is very, very important. And to our listeners, if you have not been reading, I will advise you to use this opportunity, or to use this podcast as an opportunity to begin a reading life, so that you too can leverage on those experiences, you too can leverage on the knowledge that is hidden in books, so that you can make progress and then succeed in your life's endeavors.
Okay, okay. That was super, super cool. Okay, the last thing I want you to tell our audience, to tell the listeners is what books, what books would you recommend? Like few books you could recommend, you believe that are transformative for self-discovery. Just few books, maybe 3 to 5 books that you believe people should read. They should read the book if they want to discover themselves, if they want to know themselves, if they want to transform their life and discover purpose.
Okay. Should I limit it particularly to purpose, or books that will help them in general?
Books you believe that are transformative
Can
for self-discovery. It could be purpose. It could be purpose, or it could be something else. Books you believe are transformative.
that can transform their lives in various areas. Let me just share books that
Yes,
can transform
yes, yes.
uh, people's lives, or one's life in various areas. And then the first one I'll call is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Okay.
The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. That's the first one I'll recommend. And then another one is a very important book, because in order for you to succeed in life, you also have to build relationships with others. You also have to know how to deal with others, how to influence others as well. So another one I would recommend is How to Win Friends and Then Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Important
How to
book.
Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And another book as well is The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. A very important book. The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. Another one is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. Another one I would say is Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Mm,
This
mm.
this book will help you to develop habits. It's like the science of developing good habits to live a better life. This book is very, very important. You have to
Important
read
book.
it. Atomic Habits. And another very important book is a very short book. You can finish it in one day, under one sitting. Is As a Man Thinketh by James
Mm.
Allen.
Important book. You're
As a
really
Man
calling
Thinketh
important
by
books.
James Allen. Important book.
Okay, important book.
Yeah.
Yes,
And another one,
yes.
a book I let me call another one as well. Maybe
Okay, yeah, you
I'll
plus
end
this
with
one will
this
be the
one.
eighth book.
Another, wow, eighth book.
Yes,
All right, let me just stop with
if
this
you
one,
mention this one now, it's the eighth
because
book.
it's a very, very important book.
Okay, okay.
Uh, okay, it's influenced the psychology of persuasion by Robert Cialdini. Influence the Psychology of
Okay.
Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. This book is very, very important as well. If you want to get ahead in life, you have to know how to influence people, you have to know how to deal with people, you have to know how to convince people to do certain things that you want them to do alongside with you in order to achieve the results that you want to achieve in life. So these are few books few books that can help your life in various areas, especially in transforming your life and then enabling you to achieve whatever you want to achieve in life.
Okay. Thank you for these recommendations. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your insights. It was really nice having you on the podcast today. Thank you so much, Russell. I'll see you on the other side. Hope to
Thank
see
you.
you and have you here again on the podcast. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you as well. Thank you for inviting me to the podcast.
You're welcome. You're welcome.